part of my growth is that sometimes I am tempted to be a little bit, harsh with somebody who seems to have a problem, and I maybe too quickly point out to them that their problem is nothing compared to some problems that people have. Because in fact, an issue in your heart is an issue in your heart. But after 9/11, I met some people who were part of an organization called Families for Peaceful Tomorrow. And there was a couple that I knew in Michigan whose daughter was one of the flight attendants on one of the planes that hit the World Trade Center. I know many of us here, myself and possibly even people in this room, knew our dear and wonderful Barry Berenson. There are people whose lives were very intimately touched by 9/11 who have taken, such as Families for Peaceful Tomorrow does, and this couple that I know in Michigan, who have taken the consciousness that we talk about here, the idea that love is the only force more powerful than fear. Love is the only force more powerful than hate, and have stood in the midst of the most horrific circumstances and stood on the rock of that, knowing that forgiveness is the answer, that love is the answer, that a new level of consciousness for the human race is an answer. Well, there's a woman who is here with us tonight, two women who I would like you to meet, whose lives were very, very intimately affected by the terrorist attack in Mumbai, India. One woman was there. She was in her room for 40 hours, but she was although that would obviously be psychologically and emotionally and spiritually a horrifying experience, she was not physically injured. Her friend, Scherr, did lose her husband and her daughter that day in Mumbai. And yet, these two women, Peggy Sturm and Scherr, are working with others. They have formed an organization called One Life Alliance, and they are doing this extraordinary work to stand on the ground and to join with others with the kind of moral authority that comes when you yourself have lived it. This is not just talk. You've taken it. I mean, how much more could someone take in it than Scherr, who lost her husband and her daughter, although we know they are not lost. But Scherr, it is an honor to have you here. I have such tremendous admiration for you, and I'd love to introduce you. Please stand so everyone can welcome you. Kia, if there's anything that you'd like to say, I know that you felt the warmth of people in the room who so admire what you've done and are doing with this personal tragedy in your own life. But if there's anything that you'd like to say about the work that you're doing or anything like that, please feel free.
I feel there's an opportunity to share a very powerful message with the world. And that is that out of a great tragedy and very deep loss comes a gift, an opportunity for miracle. And that miracle is to inspire a conversation to honor the sacredness of life, because life is sacred. Life is what we all share. We're all alive, and in that we're one. So to honor the sacredness of life, first in ourselves, and then in each other, and to live with that perspective and share that conversation in our world, as Marianne is doing so beautifully. You're such an inspiration. So many people.
Well, your inspiration is beyond anything words can describe. How long ago was the Mumbai attack?
It was in November of 2008.
So, think about, to lost your husband and your daughter, young daughter, 13 years old, in such a way, and what you are doing with your life that can help others. I just have, you are truly the inspiration, and I really thank you for being here. And I wish you and your friends and you, Peggy, what an amazing story and what an amazing woman. It's an honor to meet you, and this is the real deal.
There's
so
one
thank
more
you.
thing
Yes.
I'd like to share, and that is that we know that the terrorists supposedly were Muslims, but I want you to know that Muslims do not consider the terrorists Muslims.
You told me about all these Muslims who wrote to you on your website that night.
And I've reached out to Muslims in the Washington, D.C. area, and every one of them shares the same thing. The first thing they say to me is, we want you to know, in the Quran, the Holy Quran, which to them is the Word of God, it says, if you kill one human, you kill all of humanity. If you save one, you save them all. This is our belief. We are one. I visited a Muslim family, and as we were leaving, she pointed to her front door. She said, I want you to know this is your door, and this door is always open for you. I had never met them before. Thank you very much. I can share my experience, and it doesn't come from thoughts. It doesn't come from the mind. It comes from compassion. Forgiveness is a natural result of compassion for those who are separate, or coming from separation or from fear, who are disconnected, that they did something hurtful. Forgiveness does not mean condonement. It's not okay what they did. But forgiveness allows me to flow love. It increases the flow of love, allows me to give forth of myself and contribute love to my world. Whereas what was lacking here, love was lacking. In whatever situation that would need forgiving, love is lacking. And so therefore, for me, compassion is the natural response, and forgiveness results from that.